The topic we'll be discussing is whether the glassy wing sharpshooter or the grape phylloxera is the worst for wine production. Both insects are very big problems, not just for the production of wine, but also the production of grapes. These insects are feared by many grape producers around the world. We'll be debating and see whether see which insect has the biggest and worst impact on the production of wine. These insects can cause big problems to the grapevines, and in lots of cases, the vines that are infected by these insects can have to be removed and replaced. So let's see which insect is the worst for wine production. My name my name is Corbin Wolf, and I will be defending the grape phylloxera.
My name is Jessica Lee, and I will be defending the glassy wing sharpshooter.
The grape phylloxera has many unique characteristics, such as they are tiny, aphid-like insects that cause a lot of harm to grapevines. The phylloxera vary in color, consisting of yellow, green, orange, or brown. The nymph start their life off in the roots and start moving up the plant in the spring when the soil gets to 60% or 60 degrees. The adults are mostly non-winged, but some of the female adults have wings, making their travels easier from plant to plant, destroying them as they go along. Phylloxera can have 3 to 5 generations per year, which means they are almost nonstop. These aphid-like insects can be spread by clothing, boots, and equipment. Phylloxera can be moved through the soil or plant material, which is not good for vineyards. They are in because they can travel so well. There is no treatment that has been found to work, so the vineyards must be destroyed and replaced, making phylloxera very harmful for grape production. The grape phylloxera can causes root damage and can make the roots of the grapevine swell and turn yellowish. The wounds left behind from the phylloxera can bring in other infections to the grapevine such as soil-borne pathogens. All the damages from the grape phylloxera can cause significantly less yield from the crops. The grape phylloxera causes more damage, and unlike the glassy-winged sharpshooter, the grape phylloxera does not have treatments. It is no wonder why grape makers around the world are terrified of the insect.
The glassy wing sharpshooter is a leafhopper insect that packs a punch even though it measures only about half an inch long with glassy wings, hence the name. The sharpshooter has a lethal disease called Pierce's disease. This disease, caused by the bacterium Xylella fastidiosa, causes the vessels of grapevines to clog, leading to vine death as it is rapid on being an unstoppable plant-killing pathogen. What adds to its deadliness is the fact that it can fly well, allowing its disease to spread with it. The glassy wing sharpshooter does not only target grapevines, but also hundreds of other different kinds of plants, making it a lethal disease carrier. The disease is incurable, so once a vine is infected, it's a death sentence waiting to happen. Its life history is terrible for grapevines. It reproduces rapidly, with each female laying hundreds of eggs. There can be population booms in the right warm, humid climate, which puts all of those grapevines in danger. Its efficiency in being a disease carrier is what makes it such a dangerous pest because there's no incubation period from when it infects the plant. Unlike other pests, this insect cannot be controlled with chemicals, making it one of the worst threats for the wine industry. Once a plant is infected, there's no choice but to remove and replant a new vine.
Even though the glass a glassy wing sharpshooter is a bigger insect. The damage that a grape phylloxera does is more just because it targets the roots and then consistently moves up the plant. Also, you would think that the sharpshooter could travel farther just because they can fly and they can hop farther than the phylloxera. But the great phylloxera can travel through the soil and they can travel through plant material, like when the workers take out whole rows of the grapevine because of the phylloxera infestation. While the disease of the glassy wing sharpshooter carries is incurable, the phylloxera is also incurable, and the only way that the phylloxera can be removed is by having the whole plant removed and replaced.
While the grape phylloxera attacks the roots, the agricultural industry found a solution since it primarily affects non-resistant grapevines. The solution was grafting European grapevines onto the resistant American rootstock. It has significantly reduced the threat that grape phylloxera once was. The glassy wing, on the other hand, has no cure for Pierce's disease. Once it's infected, it's an automatic death sentence for the grapevine. The phylloxera relies heavily on human activity to spread since it moves through soil, but the sharpshooter can fly from plant to plant and infect on its own, as well as reaching a greater distance to spread disease. It also infects quicker than the phylloxera. The glassy wing sharpshooter is a quick and fast killer, making it more of a threat to wine production.
While grafting does work, it does cost lots of money to deliver it all the way from the US, which is where they get the grafts from. And that costs lots of money from the winery. Also, the grape phylloxera can bring in other fungal infections from just the wounds it leaves behind. Also, the grape phylloxera stunts the growth of and does not actually kill the grapevine. In some cases, it can take up to 10 years for the phylloxera to kill the grape. If the grapevine is stunned in growth, then the farmers sometimes won't know until the grapevine does not make fruit, and by that time it's too late. As the grape phylloxera has mostly no wings besides the females, it can travel fairly easy through the workers and boots, and it comes from the workers' clothes and boots, and it can also travel through the extra loose soil and the plant material. It can even travel through the planting equipment or the equipment that farmers use to plant the grapes.
While grafting costs money, it's an investment that protects the vineyard from the grape phylloxera. There is no solution for Pierce's disease, so once infection happens, you cannot save the vine. You have to restart entirely, removing and replanting, which would eventually cost more than the one-time investment to grafting. Unlike grape phylloxera, which can be managed, Pierce's disease continues to be an active threat without a cure. Phylloxera weakens vines over years, whereas Pierce's disease kills a vine entirely in 1 to 2 seasons. That sharpshooter is a self-sufficient vector to an incurable disease that makes it a bigger threat than phylloxera could ever be.
The great phylloxera is a relentless threat that, unlike the glassy wing sharpshooter that spreads the disease, it damages the plant itself. The roots are ruined and weakened to the point it loses the ability to produce damages weakens the ability to produce fruit and grow any further. For winemakers, this is devastating since it leads to decreased yields and forces them to accumulate extra and costly solutions to preserve their vineyards. The impact of phylloxera is longer lasting than the sharpshooter since it weakens the plant, but making it susceptible to even more pathogens. Phylloxera is in research because of the need to understand it. It spreads rapidly through human activity, has a detailed life cycle, and is very difficult to treat. They directly destroy the vineyards instead of being a vector for disease, making it a bigger challenge since compromised grapevines would be vulnerable to even bigger diseases. In some cases, the phylloxera does not show signs of the damage until it is too late. This is why winemakers consider it to be one of the biggest threats to wine production.
The glossy-winged sharpshooter is a deadly threat carrying a disease that kills the grapevine. There is no cure, so once the grapevine is infected, it is a soon-to-be death sentence. The speed of the sharpshooter's ability to spread this disease makes it a much bigger immediate threat compared to phylloxera. It can fly long distances and affect a larger amount of grapevines in a short period of time, making containment and control of disease significantly more difficult. It is researched because there is still a need to find some cure for Pierce's disease. The grape phylloxera has grafting as a solution, but there is nothing you can do for Pierce's disease. It is researched because without a cure or a method developed to contain it, wine producers are left with extensive damage and crop losses. The damage that the glassy wing sharpshooter creates is more destructive. While both are threats and harmful, the sharpshooter is a more urgent one. It spreads faster, has no cure, and causes the grapevine to immediately start dying. If researchers still cannot find a cure, the glassy wing sharpshooter will stay on top as one of the most feared things for wine producers.